Dr. Ethan Mercer rubbed his eyes, the glow of multiple monitors casting an eerie light across his cluttered office at the Frontier Exoplanet Institute. The incessant pinging of his communication system finally drew his attention away from the endless data streams. He tapped the screen to reveal an encrypted message, its origins unknown. "Ethan, are you seeing this?" came the voice of Dr. Aaron Cole, his colleague and fellow exoplanet enthusiast, over the secure line. "Just opened it, Aaron. What's this about?" Ethan responded, scanning the transmission. "It's a live feed, intercepted from the Oort cloud. I think it's extraterrestrial," Aaron said, his voice a mix of excitement and disbelief. Ethan's heart raced as he processed the information. Alien communications were the holy grail of xenolinguistics. He initiated a trace to verify the source, his fingers flying over the keyboard. "Looks genuine," Ethan murmured. "But why send it through the Oort cloud? It's as if they wanted us to pick it up indirectly." "Maybe they did," Aaron mused. "Or maybe it's a leak. Either way, can you clean up the audio? I'm still setting up the decryption protocols here." Working swiftly, Ethan enhanced the audio quality. A series of structured chirps and whistles filled the lab, undeniably artificial and meticulously ordered. "Sending it your way," he said. Minutes later, Aaron's voice came through again, tinged with urgency. "Ethan, I've broken part of the code. It's a catalog of some sort, and Earth is listed." "What do they say about Earth?" Ethan leaned closer to the microphone, his curiosity piqued. "It's termed a Class 13 HellWorld. Extreme caution advised due to high risk of death by natural forces, and there's a footnote suggesting reassessment to Class 14 might be necessary." Ethan froze. The classification was startling. A death world? That implied a danger level far beyond what any human considered normal. "We need to understand their criteria for classification. Class 14 could mean a recommendation for quarantine or eradication," Aaron finished grimly. "We need more data. I'm contacting Mikhail at the Deep Space Monitoring Division. He might have intercepted similar transmissions. I'll dig into historical data, see if there's any precedent for this," Ethan decided. As the night deepened, the three scientists collaborated with a frenetic pace, sharing screens and data across their secure network. Mikhail, older and more skeptical, brought decades of experience to the rapidly forming team. "This isn't the first time Earth has been scrutinized by alien eyes," Mikhail noted, pulling up records of anomalies in deep space surveillance. "Look at these blips from last year, same quadrant, possibly the same source. We thought they were solar flares at the time." "Could they have been scouting missions?" Aaron speculated. "Possibly," Mikhail conceded. "And if they're reassessing Earth status, they might be planning something more direct." "We have to assume there's more to this," Ethan said, a plan forming in his mind. "Aaron, work with Mikhail to keep tracking any related signals. I'm going to draft a report for the Institute's director. We need full access to all resources if we're going to get ahead of this." "Got it," Aaron replied, his tone resolute. Ethan paused, considering the gravity of their discovery. This was more than scientific curiosity. It was a matter of global security. He started drafting the report, choosing his words carefully to convey both the urgency and the incredible potential of their discovery. As dawn approached, the lab was alive with activity. The three men had set into motion a series of events that could change the course of human history. Earth's designation as a hellworld was not just a label, it was a warning, and perhaps a call to action. As the eastern horizon bled into dawn, Dr. Ethan Mercer's phone buzzed insistently, jerking him out of a brief, uneasy sleep. He glanced at the caller ID. It was Dr. Aaron Cole again. His voice, when Ethan answered, was laced with a mix of excitement and anxiety. "Ethan, you need to come to the lab, now. We've got a situation," Aaron said without preamble. "What kind of situation?" Ethan asked, instantly alert. "A visitor. Just get here as fast as you can," Aaron replied cryptically. Confused but intrigued, Ethan threw on some clothes and raced to the institute. As he entered the lab, he was met by an astonishing sight. A creature from another world stood awkwardly in the center of the room, flanked by Aaron and a visibly uncomfortable Mikhail. The alien, who Ethan later learned was called Talaris, was tall and slender, with a shimmering, semi-translucent skin that seemed to subtly change color with the light. Its large, expressive eyes conveyed a sense of deep intelligence and cautious curiosity. "Dr. Mercer, this is Talaris," Aaron introduced. "He's a Durian, from a system in what we call the Orion Arm. Talaris, this is Dr. Ethan Mercer, the man who decrypted part of your transmission." Talaris extended a hand, or what seemed to be the equivalent. a gesture of peace or perhaps diplomacy. Ethan took it, his mind reeling with questions. "I am here because your actions have precipitated a crisis," Talaris began, his voice a smooth, melodic flow that hinted at advanced translation technology. "My people have observed your planet for cycles. Your survival on such a treacherous world intrigues us." Ethan nodded, processing the implications. "You mean the Class 13 classification?" "Yes," Talaris confirmed. "Your planet is on the cusp of being reclassified to Class 14, which would mark it for intervention to prevent the potential danger you pose to the galaxy at large." "Intervention?" Mikhail interjected sharply. "Are we talking about an invasion?" "Not necessarily," Talaris replied, holding up a placating hand. "There are less severe measures, but my faction believes in coexistence and understanding. We are here to study, not to conquer." Ethan felt a surge of relief mixed with a host of other emotions. "So, what do you need from us?" "Your expertise," Talaris said. "You decoded our message, proving your technological and intellectual capabilities. We hope to work with you to better understand your species and negotiate a potential future among the stars." Aaron looked from Talaris to Ethan, a spark of hope in his eyes. "This could be our chance, Ethan. Not just to survive, but to thrive." Ethan considered this, his scientist's mind racing through the possibilities. "We'll need assurances, guarantees of our safety and sovereignty." Talaris nodded. "Understandable. I am authorized to negotiate within parameters. We seek a peaceful resolution." Mikhail grumbled, but his curiosity was as piqued as Ethan's. "All right, let's hear what you propose." For the next several hours, the lab transformed into a diplomatic zone. Talaris outlined the concerns of his people and their galactic neighbors, the resilience of humanity, your adaptability, and the potential threat of your expansion into the cosmos. In turn, Ethan, Aaron, and Mikhail presented their case for Earth's right to self-determination and the potential benefits of a galactic partnership based on mutual respect and cooperation. By the time Talaris left, promising to return with more delegates for further discussions, the seeds of a tentative alliance had been sown. Ethan felt a cautious optimism. This was their chance to change Earth's destiny, to ensure their place in the cosmos not as a threat, but as a valued member of the galactic community. As the alien envoy departed, Ethan turned to his colleagues, a determined look on his face. "We've got work to do. Let's make sure we're ready for what comes next." After the groundbreaking meeting with Talaris, Dr. Ethan Mercer felt both exhilarated and uneasy. The lab was abuzz with activity, with his colleagues discussing the potential implications of forming an alliance with the Durians. However, Ethan couldn't shake off a nagging suspicion that there was more to the story than what Talaris had shared. Late that night, Ethan stayed behind in the lab, poring over the data they had intercepted. He was determined to find any clue that might reveal the true intentions of the Durians and their so-called galactic neighbors. His diligence paid off when he stumbled upon a deeply buried signal within the transmissions, a shadowy layer of communication that had gone unnoticed. "Mikhail, Aaron, you need to see this," Ethan called, his voice echoing in the quiet of the lab. They gathered around his terminal, where he played back a distorted but discernible secondary message. "This isn't just surveillance," Ethan explained as they listened to the garbled voices discussing observational data on Earth. "They've been actively experimenting. It sounds like they're manipulating environmental variables, testing reactions, pushing boundaries." Mikhail frowned, his face darkening with concern. If they're capable of this, what's stopping them from escalating their experiments? Could they be trying to provoke Earth into becoming a Class 14? "That's my fear," Ethan replied. "An upgraded classification would justify more drastic interventions, up to and including extermination or forced relocation." Aaron paced the room, his thoughts racing. "We need concrete proof, something we can take to the global authorities or even the UN. We can't just sit on this." The trio decided to initiate a covert operation to infiltrate the Durian communication network. Using the advanced decryption algorithms they had developed, they worked tirelessly, sifting through mountains of encrypted data in search of the proof they needed. Their efforts bore fruit a week later. Ethan cracked a particularly tough cipher, revealing a detailed plan by a faction within the Durian government, known as the Calronis, to elevate Earth's threat level. The document outlined a series of proposed catalysts, events that would push Earth's environment to extreme conditions to test human resilience and adaptability. "Got it!" Ethan exclaimed, triumph mixing with a wave of dread. This is it, the proof we need. They've been orchestrating disasters, floods, wildfires, even seismic activities. Mikhail leaned over the printouts, his eyes scanning the damning evidence. This is an act of war in the guise of scientific research. They realized that exposing this conspiracy would require more than just leaking documents to the press. They needed a strategy to bring this to the attention of the global community in a way that would be undeniable and force a collective international response. We need to contact every contact we have, scientists, politicians, diplomats, Aaron suggested. And we need to do it discreetly. If the Calronis learn that we know, they'll move to silence us. Ethan nodded in agreement. Let's draft a comprehensive report. We'll include the decrypted data, our analysis, and recommended actions. Mikhail, start reaching out to your contacts in Europe and Asia. Aaron, take North America. I'll handle the UN and other international bodies. Over the next days, their lab turned into a clandestine command center. They reached out to trusted allies around the globe, briefing them on the situation, and coordinating a plan to present the findings at an emergency session of the United Nations. As the date of the presentation approached, the weight of their task loomed large. They were not only scientists now, but also defenders of Earth against a hidden enemy that had the power to manipulate their world from the shadows. In the days leading up to the United Nations presentation, Dr. Ethan Mercer, Aaron Cole, and Mikhail Ivanov worked tirelessly to prepare their case. They knew that exposing the Durians' covert operations wouldn't just provoke a diplomatic scandal, it would potentially lead to a galactic confrontation. As the day arrived, Ethan reviewed their presentation one last time. The evidence was irrefutable, detailed in extensive reports, decrypted messages, and corroborated by independent scientific analyses. The auditorium was packed with diplomats, scientists, and press from around the world. As Ethan stepped up to the podium, a hushed anticipation fell over the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," Ethan began, his voice steady despite the enormity of the moment, "we stand at a crucial juncture in human history. Today we present evidence not just of extraterrestrial life, but of a systemic and secret manipulation of Earth's environment by a coalition of alien forces known as the Calronis." The room erupted in murmurs and flashes of cameras. Ethan continued, detailing the encrypted communications they had intercepted, the experimental adjustments to Earth's climate, and the intended escalation to a Class 14 HellWorld. As the presentation concluded, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Delegates from around the world demanded action, and an emergency session was called to discuss the formation of a global response team. In the following weeks, Ethan, Aaron, and Mikhail found themselves at the center of a whirlwind of activity. They were appointed to a new international task force designed to address the alien threat. This task force was not only defensive, but also aimed to assert Earth's sovereignty and readiness to defend itself. Ethan was designated as the head of the Scientific Advisory Committee, while Aaron took charge of communications and Mikhail of strategy. Together, they began to organize a resistance, reaching out to military and scientific communities worldwide. The task force quickly realized that they needed more than just diplomacy. They needed leverage. Ethan proposed the development of a planetary defense system using reverse-engineered alien technology they had recovered from the intercepted communications. The project was ambitious and fraught with technical challenges, but it galvanized Earth's scientific community like never before. "Think of it," Ethan told a gathering of the world's top engineers and physicists, "as not just a shield, but a declaration. We are here, we are capable, and we will not be covertly manipulated or threatened." Progress was rapid, driven by a mix of fear, anger, and human ingenuity. The planetary defense system, dubbed Project Gaia, became a beacon for Earth's unified response against extraterrestrial interference. Meanwhile, Aaron worked on strengthening Earth's signal capabilities to be able to communicate with other potential alien allies or neutral parties in the galaxy. "We need to be part of the galactic community," he argued, "on our terms, not just as subjects of an experiment or footnotes in a galactic playbook." With Earth's defenses starting to take shape and new alliances forming, Dr. Ethan Mercer and his team prepared for the next crucial step, presenting their case before the Galactic Council. This interstellar assembly was known for its complex politics and was the central authority in galaxy-wide matters. The council was made up of representatives from various civilizations, each with their unique agendas and alliances. Ethan, Aaron, and Mikhail spent weeks preparing for the council meeting. They gathered all their evidence, documented the manipulations by the Calronis, and outlined the potential threats to Earth's sovereignty. Their goal was not just to seek justice or reparations, but to fundamentally shift the galactic perception of Earth from a mere experimental zone to a recognized sovereign world. On the day of the council meeting, held via an advanced telecommunication platform that could connect different parts of the galaxy instantaneously, Ethan started the presentation. He stood in a room designed specifically for this purpose, with multiple screens showing the faces of various alien representatives. Ladies and gentlemen of the Galactic Council, we come before you not just as representatives of Earth, but as advocates for justice and mutual respect, Ethan began, his voice resonant and clear. We have uncovered and will present evidence today of covert operations conducted by the Calronis that directly threaten not only the stability of our world, but also the principles upon which this council was founded. As the evidence was laid out, the reactions from the council varied widely. Some members were visibly shocked, others seemed skeptical. The representatives of the Calronis, on the other hand, appeared agitated, vehemently denying the accusations. The so-called evidence presented by Earth can be fabricated. It is a well-known fact that Earth is a Class 13 planet, inherently chaotic and dangerous. This is a ploy for sympathy and support, argued the lead representative of the Calronis, whose image flickered with a tinge of disdain. Mikhail then took the stage, providing detailed logs and intercepted communications that demonstrated the extent of the Calronis' interventions. These are not fabrications but hard evidence of the violations of the galactic codes by the Calronis. Their actions have caused untold suffering and disruption on Earth. The council was in uproar, with various factions arguing among themselves. It was clear that the issue was stirring deep divisions, with some fearing the implications of such aggressive actions going unchecked. Aaron, focusing on the diplomatic angle, spoke next. We seek not just redress but also protection under the galactic codes. We ask the Council to formally recognize Earth's sovereignty and to establish a protective status that prohibits any unauthorized experiments or interventions. The debate continued for hours. Finally, the Council decided to form an investigative committee to delve deeper into the claims made by Earth. This decision was a significant victory for Ethan and his team, as it meant the Council was taking their claims seriously enough to warrant further scrutiny. As the meeting adjourned, the team felt a mix of relief and tension. They had achieved their immediate goal of bringing the issue to the forefront of galactic concerns. But the road ahead was fraught with challenges. Back on Earth, news of the Council's decision was met with a guarded optimism. Governments and citizens alike were galvanized by the recognition and support from parts of the galactic community, strengthening the resolve to continue building Earth's defenses and diplomatic efforts. Ethan, Aaron, and Mikhail gathered in their command center, reviewing the day's events. We've got their attention now, Ethan said, looking at his colleagues. It's just the beginning, but it's a step toward ensuring Earth's place in the galaxy as an equal, not a victim. They knew that the real work had only just begun. The committee's investigation could swing in any direction, and they needed to be prepared for all outcomes. But for now, Earth had a fighting chance, and that was worth celebrating. Tension escalated rapidly as Earth braced for potential retaliatory measures from the Calronis. Despite the ongoing Galactic Council investigation, the threat of direct confrontation loomed. Dr. Ethan Mercer, alongside Aaron Cole and Mikhail Ivanov, worked feverishly to solidify Earth's defenses, coordinating with international military forces and integrating alien technology into their systems. As Ethan monitored the development of the planetary defense network, an urgent alert came through their surveillance systems. A Calronis fleet, much larger than any prior scouting force, had entered the solar system. They're not waiting for the Council's decision, Ethan grimly noted, observing the fleet's advance on their live feeds. It's an all-out assault. Mikhail took charge of the strategic response, broadcasting commands to units stationed around the globe. Activate all defense protocols. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Engage enemy forces on site. In orbit, satellites that had been retrofitted with defensive weaponry powered up, targeting the incoming ships. On Earth, every available radar and missile system was aligned to form a protective barrier around the planet. Aaron, meanwhile, handled communications, ensuring that all channels remained open and secure, relaying crucial information between divisions and their extraterrestrial allies. The first wave of the Calronis attack was brutal. Their ships fired energy weapons that outmatched most of Earth's newly developed defenses. Cities around the world experienced blackouts and infrastructural damage as the planetary defense grid absorbed and redirected the alien energy to power its counterattacks. Ethan, watching the chaos unfold from their command center, remained focused on adapting their tactics. Use the feedback from the grid to boost our shield generators. If we can hold them at bay long enough, we might be able to disable their main weapons, he instructed, his voice steady despite the escalating crisis. The turning point came when the Thalorans, acting on their promise of support, arrived. Their fleet, smaller but equipped with advanced cloaking technology, launched a surprise counteroffensive. This unexpected move caught the Calronis' fleet off guard, disrupting their formation and giving Earth's forces a much-needed advantage. Mikhail coordinated with the Thaloran commanders, integrating their efforts. Target their flagship. If we take it down, it'll disrupt their command structure, he directed, overseeing the joint tactical operations. On the ground, Aaron rallied the global populace through broadcasts, maintaining morale and providing updates. Stand strong, everyone. Help is here, and we are holding our ground. Stay safe and follow evacuation orders where necessary. The battle raged for hours, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Earth's landscape bore the scars of the conflict, with craters and burnt-out zones marking where major battles had occurred. Yet, as the dust settled and the last of the Calronis' ships either retreated or were destroyed, a cautious optimism began to emerge among Earth's defenders. Ethan surveyed the aftermath from their command center, relief mixed with a heavy sense of responsibility. We've held them off, for now, he acknowledged, addressing his team. But this is far from over. We need to be ready for another wave or any other threats that may come. The resilience of Earth's people had been tested like never before, but their successful defense against a superior alien force marked a new chapter in humanity's role in the cosmos. The victory was not just a survival, but a declaration of Earth's capability and readiness to defend its sovereignty against any threat. As they prepared for the challenges ahead, Ethan, Aaron, and Mikhail knew that their journey was far from over. They needed to strengthen their defenses, build on their alliances, and ensure that Earth would never be caught off guard again. The battle for Earth had ended, but the fight for their future in the galaxy had just begun. In the aftermath of Earth's defensive victory against the Calronis fleet, the global community began to reckon with the new realities of interstellar politics and warfare. Dr. Ethan Mercer, Aaron Cole, and Mikhail Ivanov were at the forefront of diplomatic efforts to leverage their recent success into lasting security. As the dust settled, the Galactic Council reconvened. The evidence presented by Earth, combined with the aggressive actions of the Calronis, painted a damning picture. The Council, now seeing the true nature of the Calronis threat, initiated a series of deliberations that would determine the fate of the Calronis within the galactic community. Ethan, acting as Earth's primary representative, addressed the Council with newfound authority. The attack on Earth was unprovoked and based on manipulations and lies propagated by the Calronis. We have defended ourselves, but we seek a peaceful galaxy where no world need fear such an assault, he declared, his voice resonant in the chamber. The Council, influenced by the strong stand taken by Earth and its allies, voted overwhelmingly to impose severe sanctions on the Calronis. Their military capabilities were restricted, their rights to travel and trade within the galaxy were severely limited, and they were put under surveillance by an independent regulatory body. As part of the reparations, the Calronis were also mandated to share their technology with Earth, providing humans with advanced knowledge that could be used for further strengthening their planet's defenses and aiding in reconstruction efforts. Meanwhile, Mikhail coordinated the reconstruction and further fortification of Earth's defense systems, integrating Calronis technology where beneficial. He worked closely with engineers and scientists, ensuring that Earth would not only recover, but emerge stronger from the conflict. Aaron focused on strengthening Earth's diplomatic relations within the Galactic Council. He forged alliances with civilizations that had previously been neutral or distant, emphasizing Earth's commitment to galactic peace and mutual prosperity. Back on Earth, public sentiment towards the Galactic Council and extraterrestrial communities shifted positively, reflecting gratitude and newfound respect. The successful defense and subsequent diplomatic victories sparked a global renaissance in technology, culture, and science, as alien knowledge and technologies were integrated into society. However, not all was peaceful. Remnants of the Calronis faction, disgruntled and vengeful, posed a covert threat. They launched isolated attacks, aiming to destabilize Earth's recovery and reignite conflict. Ethan and his team, alert to these dangers, responded swiftly, thwarting these efforts and capturing key operatives, thereby gaining valuable intelligence about lingering Calronis sympathizers. With each thwarted attack, Earth's defenses became more robust, and its intelligence network more refined. The planet was no longer an underestimated backwater in the eyes of the galaxy, but a formidable power in its own right. The Galactic Council, recognizing Earth's rapid advancements and strategic importance, offered Earth a permanent seat at the Council. This honor was a testament to Earth's new standing and a guarantee of its sovereignty and voice in galactic affairs. It was an era of growth, learning, and participation in the broader cosmic community. Ethan, Aaron, and Mikhail, once ordinary scientists, had become leaders in a world that was stepping boldly into a future filled with unknowns yet ripe with potential. The challenges ahead were numerous, but with a united world and a place at the galactic table, Earth was ready to meet them. In the wake of Earth's dramatic entrance onto the galactic stage, the planet was abuzz with a sense of unity and purpose previously unseen. Dr. Ethan Mercer, along with his colleagues Aaron Cole and Mikhail Ivanov, now stood as prominent figures not only on Earth, but across the known universe. Their efforts had not only secured Earth's safety, but had also established it as a vital member of the Galactic Council. Ethan looked out from the command center, which had been transformed from a makeshift war room into a state-of-the-art global surveillance and communication hub. The room was filled with screens displaying different parts of the world and various alien planets, symbolizing Earth's newfound connections and responsibilities. "Look at what we've achieved," Ethan mused to Aaron and Mikhail as they reviewed the latest galactic trade agreements. "Not just surviving, but thriving. We're now a part of something much larger than any of us imagined." Mikhail nodded in agreement, his eyes scanning the latest security protocols that were being implemented. "It's more than survival. It's about making sure we're never caught off guard again. These alliances and technologies give us a say in galactic affairs we never had before." Aaron, who had been coordinating the integration of alien cultural exchanges, added, "And it's not just about technology and defense. It's about understanding and respect. We're hosting the first interstellar cultural festival here next month. Who would have thought?" As Earth continued to rebuild and expand its capabilities, the focus shifted from mere defense to a broader vision of sustainability and prosperity. The scars of the past battles had been transformed into monuments of resilience and reminders of the strength found in unity. Ethan spent much of his time now in diplomatic meetings and strategy sessions, using his expertise and experience to guide Earth through the complex dynamics of interstellar politics. Under his leadership, Earth developed a comprehensive strategy for sustainable development that balanced technological advancement with environmental and ethical considerations. The relationships with alien neighbors, once marked by secrecy and suspicion, now flourished in an atmosphere of openness and cooperation. The Galactic Council meetings, which Ethan attended regularly, were no longer about survival, but about collaborative efforts to tackle universal challenges such as space piracy, resource depletion, and universal rights advocacy. However, the peace and progress were not without their challenges. Isolated factions within and outside of Earth still resisted the new galactic alignment, pushing back against what they saw as undue external influence. Ethan and his team remained vigilant, countering misinformation and diplomatically addressing conflicts as they arose. In a landmark move, Earth hosted the Galactic Council's annual summit, a testament to its new role as a central player in galactic affairs. The summit was a vibrant affair, showcasing Earth's rich cultural heritage and technological advancements. Leaders from across the galaxy gathered, discussing initiatives ranging from collective defense pacts to scientific and cultural exchanges. As the summit concluded, Ethan stood before the assembly, delivering a speech that resonated across the cosmos. From a planet once deemed too dangerous to inhabit, Earth has risen not only to meet the challenges of our world, but also to take on the responsibilities of our shared future, he declared, his voice echoing in the grand hall. The journey from a besieged planet to a beacon of galactic cooperation had been arduous but transformative. For Ethan, Aaron, and Mikhail, the path ahead was clear. Continue to build on the foundations of trust and cooperation they had established, and lead Earth through the next phases of its cosmic journey. As they walked back from the podium, the trio shared a moment of quiet satisfaction. They had steered their world through its darkest hours into a bright, promising dawn. Earth was not just surviving, it was leading, a vibrant member of the galactic community, ready for whatever new adventures the universe might hold.